Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. We have reached episode 737. That's right, it's episode 737, sponsored by Boeing. Not really.
Boing.
I'm Brett Maltavino.
I'm Ralph Sneeder.
I'm Ryan Sapp.
Oh, okay.
I'm apparently Walrath.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
You can support the site. Go to patreon.com/PCPer. You can be like, Neil R.
Neil R. Yep.
You know what?
Neil.
Never mind the Beatles. Here's Neil Rutledge. No, Bollocks.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Bollocks.
Screwed it all up.
Never mind the Neil.
I know where you were
I
going.
really appreciate you. You in particular, because you know why? You give us money. You know what that means? Lip service from me to you, but not that kind of lip service.
Whoa, okay. Too honest.
It's already veered way off.
All right, let's move on to the most important segment of every week, Food with Josh.
Okay, so here's the problem. Okay, we got burgers downtown. Burgers downtown, right? Right. Burgers downtown are good things. It's good. It's good. It creates content. It's good. It's happy. Makes people happy. Makes me happy. And then there was my work. And they had free Qdoba catering. What's a guy to do? Well, you know what? There's this little guy named Murray who lives in my heart. He says, you know what? Free tastes really damn good. And that's what I got. So I got a Qdoba bowl. There's steak under there. There's chicken under there. Their chicken is actually quite tasty. Some guac. Some of their habanero queso on the chips.
And a lot of dandruff.
Covered with lettuce, hot sauce, and picadillo? Cheese? But
Pikachu?
not picadillo. No. It's that really fine Mexican cheese. It's raw. It's not aged. I can't remember the damn name, but it's great.
Is it the salty one?
So yeah. What?
Is it the salty cheese?
It's not Parm.
No.
It's
No,
like
because there's
queso
another raw Mexican
fresca or
cheese that
something fresca. I don't know.
Cojia cheese. Thank you. Gosh.
You're welcome. There you go.
My brain, where is it? Well, I'll tell you where. It's in the Boston Lager that I didn't want. I wanted Oktoberfest. Instead, I got that. And I got a free bowl from Qdoba. So, this podcast is brought to you by Qdoba, where fresh is the taste.
In our first news story of the week, NVIDIA is showing off a new DLSS version, 3.5, enhancing ray tracing with AI. I can't believe they're bringing AI to more things, considering they bet the farm on AI, and it really paid off.
So yeah, it's silly to keep doing that.
Why keep doing the thing that makes you so much money?
He looks pretty ray traced.
Ray reconstruction, AI enhanced ray tracing. And there's a
Did
video.
he grow
you
up
can
in the
watch.
valley?
This is a valley
Yes.
guy. This
It's
is definitely
uncanny
like
that you
that.
know that.
Excuse me, flight attendant.
We're not going to judge this guy just because he looks like he lives in California.
I'd like another
Did he
shot,
do the
please.
UPS?
I have you know that Dr. Brian Catanzaro is a BYU graduate.
Oh.
Oh,
Are you sure it's not Brayan?
Years ago, we introduced DLSS, which revolutionized graphics with better speed and better image quality through artificial intelligence. Since then, the AI model behind DLSS just keeps learning, with new capabilities such as frame generation, increasing rendering speed by up to 4x with excellent image quality.
That's on you.
Could it think its way out of a test chamber? I think not.
First off, I'm quite certain that Brian is a very brilliant computer scientist. He is not the most charismatic or engaging speaker. And it was very difficult to make it through his presentation alert and awake by the end of it. You really have to watch several times to sort of grasp what he's talking about. He is talking about a lot of things and that even dumbed down are over most of our heads. But in the long run, what it does is pretty cool. You do get more path traces for a more realistic lighting effect. There's actually in the video some samples from Cyberpunk. Of course, it's Cyberpunk, so it's going to look good no matter what, just about. But and they show
the only one that
not only do you get some really engaging lighting using the ray reconstruction, but because of the way it does it, you're actually getting rid of what they call multiple denoisers that traditional ray tracing has to use, and it's just using one now. And you actually are gaining, in some circumstances, more performance and getting better ray tracing. It is pretty cool what it does, but man, it's very difficult to get a grasp on. And like I say, as brilliant of a guy as I'm sure he is, he's probably not the best choice to try and explain it to people. He's very smart, not super charismatic, but the thing was about it is, NVIDIA came out last week and said, we're going to have a big announcement at Gamescom. And nobody cared. Everybody assumed, they're either going to announce the 4090 Ti, which nobody cares about, or another mediocre overpriced graphics card, a 4050, a 40 something. Then when this came out, nobody still cared. And there were a lot of people that were very confused by the fact that, wait a minute, this is 3.5 and it works on all RTX cards. Well, 3.0 doesn't even work on all TX cards. But mainly the only feature that 3.0 offered was the frame generation. And the frame generation only works on 40 cards, even if you're using DLSS 3.5. But yeah, it's an interesting technology. If you're an eye candy in game kind of player, I am. I enjoy turning on, all the effects and getting games to look as good as I can. This is pretty cool technology, but it's not going to be for everybody. And that's where NVIDIA's reputation right now. Man, they need to come up with something better if they're going to get public opinion back on their side.
Well, they did throw us a bone in that this goes back to the 2000 series. Right? Like an RTX 2000 will do this. Which is, hey, not a horrible move. It's nice to not say, sorry, you got to buy our newest generation. Well, what do you mean you can't afford it? Just pony the money over and then you can get it. So they're doing it back, which is nice. And I mean, honestly, it's really a quick way to say it is that they've completely redone their denoisers, so that ray tracing does have a lot of weird stuff that it generates that you never see because it's immediately blocked out. But they went overboard in a way, like mostly because they hadn't refined it enough. So you lost some reflections that should be there. You lost some pathways that should be there. So this has sort of figured out a way to not be quite, not prune out quite so much of the stuff without letting any of the noise through, and, somehow does it a little bit faster. Although I haven't seen benchmark comparisons yet to see, how much faster it will be.
I think it's not a lot.
But
it's not a lot. But and we've seen it in basically one scene in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay. So this is actually kind of an extension of what they're doing with the regular DLSS non-frame generation. Because if you think about it, they're they're sampling things at a much lower resolution, and they're sampling this at far fewer rays. So this really makes sense that it goes back to the 2000 series and all the way up to the latest, because they're applying a lot of that same stuff to the cast rays. It's like, okay, we've sampled and we've done machine learning and we've done models on all of these, programs of what it looks like when this happens in programming. And this is what it looks like if we've got, like, okay, let's just say 10,000 rays. And you know what? We can kind of generalize this down to 2,500 rays, and it looks damn near identical because we know what the end product is going to look like. And that's essentially what, in this case, machine learning kind of is. It applies what it knows to it. It's speculation, but it's really good speculation. And when you're dealing with math like this, it just works out. It's not like you speculating that your kid's going to go to high school and he's going to ace geometry when he doesn't even know what a triangle is. This is math. This is known. So, this is really actually kind of cool. It's being smarter about how much actual number crunching you're doing. And, if you look at the history of rasterization, they've had so many interesting shortcuts on making things look better without taking up a huge amount of performance, like back in the day, normal mapping. And I can think of, a dozen different things with rasterization. And these are all tricks that they did to make output look better without causing a massive decrease in performance. And this is what DLSS 3.5 does with the ray tracing. It's when you're working with equations in a box that is bounded, you have a good idea of where things end up. And that's kind of where we're looking at with the solution. It may break down in certain areas, but I don't think you're going to really notice, because like 98% of the stuff is going to fall within those bounds, and that's where you're going to get it back. So it's they're not going to use it for movies. They may do it for pre-visualization, but for guys like me who's running Diablo at 120 hertz, it's good enough.
There are lots of tricks that you.
By the way,
do,
Diablo
like
doesn't use ray tracing. Just
and you're on an arc, so
I was going to say there are lots of there's a ton of mathematical tricks that you can apply when working through equations in a box, as you were saying, Josh, like working backwards from the user's perspective rather than from the emittance side. You have a kind of a known solution space. You can do various texture warping instead of recomputing all the pixels. So that's what you can do in ray tracing and planar space or non-ray tracing space, however you want to look at it. So there are even tricks you can do with motion in order to do pixel computations that aren't doing ray tracing, but are still moving pixels around by guessing or warping the image rather than recomputing every pixel on the screen at every frame. And there's so many tricks that can be utilized outside of the ray tracing space or custom hardware. It's software's where it's at, man.
Look at what AMD did with RDNA 3, because they were talking about the architecture with the media, and if you look at their slides, this is very complicated. I don't fully understand it, but triangle subtree culling, triangle/procedural geometry skipping to reduce the number of traversal iterations required. But from the presentation, the way they were explaining it to us, it sounded like they're basically
occluded objects.
Yeah, not worrying about the stuff that you can't see and reducing the actual workload. So to the naked eye, it still looks the same, but doing less work on the GPU, therefore improving performance. That's why they were getting up to 1.8x performance uplift due to everything combined. Some of that was the frequency of the new architecture, but they didn't.
This is a This is an exact example of what I just mentioned about working backwards from the observer's perspective rather than from the emittance side. Because if you figure it out from where the person's looking or what they are perceiving on screen, and then you can figure out what's actually visible rather than from the emittance side and painting every object or every light source in the scene, you can just cut out the stuff that can't be seen. Figuring that out is heinously complicated, but the rewards are worth it with speed.
You're kind of describing sea culling.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say that NVIDIA should have just brought Josh on stage, given him a couple of Boston lagers, and let him do the presentation, because he was much more enthusiastic and actually clear about what this software does.
Very clearly illustrating how big of a loss Tom Peterson was for NVIDIA, because I don't think there's a better technical marketing person in the business.
He has a tremendous personality, and he is incredibly smart. And he's got patents, unlike me. I don't have any patents. So
to me, it isn't just
it's
that
not fair that I live in the same world as Tap, because he's just so much more up there.
That could have been you, but
so the games, DLSS 3.5 games that are coming this fall: Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty, Portal RTX, Alan Wake 2, and then
which I hadn't heard,
stuff.
but that's interesting.
Non-games like Omniverse. Yet, so. There's going to be some confusion, obviously, as you guys alluded to, with this being open to all RTX cards, going back to the original 20 series. So here we go. Jeez. Let's move to the biggest story of the week, at least in financial circles, or in our industry, really.
NVIDIA makes it rain.
Yeah, NVIDIA, the $1 trillion company once again, and not by a small amount either. They're like $1.16 trillion market cap now.
Yeah.
They had a huge quarter, Josh.
So anyway, they had a tremendous quarter. They had quarter-on-quarter improvement of 88% in revenue. So they jumped from like 7.1 to $13.51 billion in a quarter. And it was primarily all driven by AI. So they're making the H100 parts for about $3,000 base cost. And the H100 is a complex part. It's multiple dies, HBM memory, it's a large die, interposer, all of that. It's expensive to produce. It's $3,000 base cost without any of the accoutrements. And they're selling that for $30,000 a piece. And they're sold out through 2023 and into 2024. And that's not just all of it. Their gaming has also improved quarter on quarter by something like 21%. So they're selling a lot of stuff. I mean, year on year, 101% increase. That's like the absolute top of crypto. And as compared to crypto, the AI that they are showing is actually useful in the real world. I mean, I've talked about this before in how the company I work for outside of this uses machine learning to identify, animals, wind turbines, movement, hitting wind turbines, stuff like that. Going over a shore in Alaska and identifying tern nests, stuff like that. I mean, real world applications, not just Bitcoin and crypto and all of that stuff, which never really found a foothold. I mean, you could argue some, but the actual amount of data that can be processed and processed far more accurately in things like bioengineering, virology, infections, all of this stuff can be done with AI far better than what we have done in the past with just humans going over data in charts and graphs and whatnot. And NVIDIA has done very well because damn near 15 years ago, they they started talking to universities and saying, you know what, we'll provide you with hardware and the software. You teach your people CUDA, because GPU is a thing, and we think it has a future. And AMD didn't go there. Intel certainly didn't go there, because x86 was their bread and butter. And they were not going to do that. If they're going to add anything, it would be, SSE and eventually AVX. But we're not interested in this GPU thing at all. And now everybody in the industry is trying to catch up to NVIDIA, because all those people who graduated in 2012, 2013, 2014, who understand CUDA, and that's what they were taught, they went to the workplace. And they use the tools that they understand. And they use the products that are well supported in software with those tools. And they have provided the foundation of where we're seeing now in terms of this AI explosion.
And it really doesn't hurt that it's good hardware to be running it off of either.
Yeah, they have awfully good engineers. I mean, we look at what AMD has. It's good stuff in the 6000.
What Intel's trying to get out.
Intel's got good stuff too, but
working.
They just don't have that same level of competency.
No.
And a lot of people have, I think I was talking to a guy from San Francisco, Market Watch dude, and he said, the AI stuff, everybody thinks it's going to help everybody out, but it's not true, because nobody has a foundation. I mean, you've heard the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. But if you've got a boat with leaks, or not even a fully completed boat, it's not going to help you out. And I'll tell you, NVIDIA is sitting there. And at $13+ billion, that was Intel just only a few quarters ago. And Intel and NVIDIA is reaching that. Their net, and this hurts me, it's 6.1 billion. That's just money going into their coffers. They don't have to pay anybody anything out of that. It's their profit coming in this quarter. 6.1 billion, which is probably about 900 million less than what AMD is going to make this next quarter. It's just insane. And NVIDIA is, I mean, they have played the long game from 2002, 2003, when they first introduced their programmable shaders, and they thought, you know what, there's more to this than just games. And we need to start developing this, and we need to start supporting it, and we need to give the tools to get people to start using this, because there's a tremendous amount of originally, integer power and then floating point power. And sure, GeForce FX sucked, but that was just the first step. And the 6800 series came out, and it was great. And then they really hammered it about 2008, 2009 with the GTX 200 series. The 280 was one of their first video cards that supported things like folding at home with a GPU accelerated client. And I had one of those, and I did testing, and I started off with the folding frogs. And I remember seeing on the forums, who in the hell is this new guy, and how is he getting all of this? And it's like, well, that's me, Josh Walrath, but I can't tell you what I'm working on, but it's something really interesting. And it was just blowing CPUs away, because it was,
oh god, yeah,
it was a GeForce GTX, GeForce 280 GTX, I think is the official word name for it. So yeah, it's they're
and I were asked to ban you.
What's that?
Dave Pender and I were asked to ban you. So we have to ban him from the forums. We have to kick him off. And well, the best part was that several years before you pulled that off, Dave got a hold of a Sun Spark for about an hour and just chewed through like several million work units. And so that's sort of what we pointed out. It was like, yeah, we can't tell you, and I knew at the time. And it's like, we can't tell you what it is, but it's valid. It's all valid, and you're going to be kind of excited when we tell you about it.
Yeah. So it's
kind of funny.
That's fun. That's a nice little trip down memory lane.
There it is.
No, it's they're a juggernaut. They really are, and nobody's slowing them down anytime soon. And yeah, that GTX 280 was a great card. I really enjoyed working with that. It was one of my first of the really high end cards that I got to work with when I first was brought on, and Ryan did a lot of the actual graphics work on it, and he didn't have time to do a lot of the GPU, and so he got NVIDIA to send me one of the boards, and I just hammered that out, worked on that, tried to get as much going on, and that was, some of the first things like the Microsoft stitching software with pictures to make panoramas, that they had an initial version that worked with that was GPU, and so yeah, they've really only built with that. They've kept with it. Others have let software people go, like Intel did this past week. But NVIDIA has really, I mean, they have had the long vision on this, and they are making some bucks because of it.
Up 854% from a year ago.
Buy a lot of leather jackets.
Well, that's Gap. But yeah, still, that's just, if you're hoping a 4000 series card price is going to come down because NVIDIA can't, afford to keep charging that. Well, we got some bad news for you.
Yeah, it's, their gaming is still growing 21%.
Yeah.
So prices are not going to go down anytime. They've gone down a little bit, but not to make you, crawl over yourself to try to buy one.
Yeah, or make them tighten up their prices.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Remember when we thought that was obnoxious?
The entire tech community has branded the 4060 and 4060 Ti's as, huge failures, wastes of money. But they're selling a lot of them because most people aren't building their own PCs. They go through system integrators, and system integrators are buying 4060s and 4060 Ti's, and people are buying them.
So there you go. You survived the financials.
I did. I was down like this for a while.
I mean, it's smart,
but
it's
this is my
wise.
couch,
play.
living room. I could stretch out the other way.
Yep.
But
What the general audience doesn't know is that Sebastian actually moved broadcasting to his couch in anticipation of this segment and needing to relax.
As soon as I found out that NVIDIA had released financials today, I'm like, well, screw this. I'm sleeping for 20 minutes. Related note, because we're talking about NVIDIA. Remember when they said that Game Pass would be coming to GeForce Now? It's official. It's happening August 24th. So as you're listening to this, well, if you're watching the live stream, it's tomorrow, but it's probably already happened. So I don't think it's all titles, though, is it?
It's not everything plays on
no.
GeForce Now anyway, so I don't think it's all of them. But I do know that they've committed to doing something like 10 years of availability, which isn't bad.
It sounds good. It sounds good on paper, and it lets you pass regulators.
The whole GeForce Now
they streaming
playability
through Ubisoft or something?
Who knows?
Like they added some bizarre Ubisoft thing to try and make this whole Activision merger look more appropriate.
Part of this is definitely a play towards making this merger seem more palatable.
I mean, all of it.
Look how well.
All of it.
Okay, all of it.
Yeah.
So we play well with others. Just look at this. Look how good we're doing here. We pledge to support this for 10 years, which is an eternity in the tech world and all that.
In what way are they going to support it for 10 years? Like, No Man's Sky will work for 10 years. I promise.
I guess. The GeForce Now is just another example of you will own nothing and like it.
Yeah. No. You will own nothing. You will pay for it, and you will like it.
And
you'll keep paying
on a subscription basis.
Yes, you'll keep paying for it.
Under modest but restrictive terms. And you'll like it.
And pray we don't alter the terms further.
We do not alter the deal.
All right. Well, that was exciting. Let's move on to another story. This one is, you know, the Ryzen 9 X3D part for mobile, the 7945HX 3D, not to be confused with the 7945HX non-3D, which was in the SCAR 17, but the SCAR 17 2023 edition is the one with the X3D. And all these outlets have had this thing in for testing. I was scrolling through earlier trying to find anybody who was actually testing against other CPUs other than just the non-X3D version or a different Ryzen 9. I looked at some of the reviews. They didn't make any sense because they weren't really testing against anything else. The general consensus is, apparently, that it's the fastest mobile CPU for gaming, period. It doesn't hurt that the system that they sent out has a 4090 at 175 watts. So the SCAR 17, and there's something interesting about that. It is not especially chunky as a laptop, but they're using liquid metal on the CPU and GPU to control temperatures.
And it's got ground effect lights.
It does. It has a lighting ring around it, which is always important. Check this picture out. This is over at Tom's Hardware. This came via someone. Image credit, Ordinary Uncle Tony. I saw Kyle Bennett tweet about this earlier today, I think it was. Talking about nail polish. I didn't need it anymore. Look at this thing. It's that's masked
sealed
nicely.
Completely sealed.
And considering what happens to laptops, that's a good thing.
Well, considering what happens to liquid metal in a laptop.
Fair.
Yes.
Yes.
So this Chinese YouTuber disassembled his ROG Strix SCAR to quite a daring degree, says Tom's Hardware. And
I mean, the thermal paste on the VRMs is pretty impressive too there.
So it's engineered for thermal management to the extreme.
Holy crap.
They just varnished that damn thing.
Yeah, they sure did.
Hey, if you want better thermals with Ryzen or Intel 13th
You should
Gen,
be able to see his face.
you got to delid.
You know, you don't often hear about the downside of varnish buildup on your CPU mask.
What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing.
The members of PC Perspective do not officially endorse delidding.
No, yes, they do, Kent.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
You had a whole a whole tutorial on how to do it and all the different,
Personally,
Buy this delitter,
it's the
not
sound.
this one.
I love the sound of cracking an IHS off of a CPU or die.
the sound of $650 just going away.
That snapping sound is so just really gets you right here.
Okay, let's move on to some of the excitement at Gamescom has been centered around display technology because there's not a whole lot of excitement right now with GPUs, and we don't have any new CPUs yet on the desktop side. So let's get excited about dual-UHD. DUHD. DUHD.
Oh, I hope they go with that.
Is here, and actually one of the press releases, I think, called it DUHD. I just stared at it like, duh. Oh, here we go, right here. DUHD.
Oh, perfect.
Dud. Great.
Oh, I want a dud monitor.
So Samsung has unveiled the world's first dual UHD gaming monitor. It is the Odyssey Neo G9 57-inch. It's dual UHD. It's
like it might be enough.
It's like having two 4K monitors side by side, but it's seamless. I can't imagine there'll be any yield issues at all with a 57-inch monitor of this resolution.
Well, they just cut an 88-inch OLED in half.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense.
Then
Those
bend
exist.
the
8K
panel
TVs
and-
exist.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
It's half an 8K. I didn't think about it that way. 240 hertz refresh rate. I'm assuming this is a VA panel of some kind.
Josh,
powered by what?
They're not laying down those 8K in curves, though.
They're not really mentioning
You just bend it.
The specifics
Bend it while you're
of
cutting it.
I'm sorry,
the
no,
resolution.
you don't.
Well,
You heat
they
it
just
up a
get
little
lot
bit,
of-
so it's more
either a
malleable.
skill saw one of those rotary tools, and they just
Yeah.
OLEDs are flexible. OLED panels are
Hey,
flexible.
this is not OLED though.
And you
Oh,
warm
it's
up the
not.
plastic packing so that it's
VA
malleable
panel.
and you can bend it. Cut
I
it
mean,
in
Corsair
half, you're done.
did come out with the flexible flyer, didn't they? Yeah.
It's true.
LG's got one too.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm interested in is the stuff ASUS had. And Video Cards did a nice job of kind of doing a roundup of everybody's coverage of this. The Gamescom ROG monitor lineup, ROG Swift, it's all OLED. This is the era. We're entering the era of OLED for high-end gaming displays now. And we're not just talking
Wasn't
about...
it really about 2014 where they finally started making flat panels interesting again? I mean, you had that
Yeah.
area in 2003 to 2005 where, you know, LCD displays were finally becoming more mainstream, but you know, you get a 23-inch for $1,000, $1,200, and then it just sat there for years and years and years.
We
And
put up
then,
with
yeah.
lighting irregularities. It's just
Oh,
bad,
awful.
bad backlighting.
It's terrible.
Dead pixels.
And now we're still in the golden age of monitors with OLED and good VA panels and fast IPS and mini
Adaptive
LED.
Sync kind of kicked it
yeah.
off, didn't it, Josh?
Oh well, it
wasn't NVIDIA 3D,
No, it was
I'll tell you
TN,
that.
It was TN above 60 hertz was the
Yeah.
first thing that really got it. But they had to have controllers that could handle that and video
Yeah.
cards that could.
Yeah.
But no,
But then
Do
they
you think
started getting
OLED
interesting.
has? Do you think OLED has proven it's going to have a long enough lifespan? And there was some talk initially of color degradation and lifespan of OLED.
Brett, you're just spewing the anti-OLED rhetoric of a non-OLED owner.
You know what I am?
And besides, it's quantum dot OLED now. It's totally different.
Not really, but
No.
well, maybe
It's
not.
just
Maybe
quantum
it's doing. Yeah, it's what anything you can do to reduce the intensity is going to increase the lifespan. So running it at lower brightness levels, because OLED is
it's
of
so much
course
better than plasma.
Subpixel
It's
aliasing
so
by
much
another
better
name.
It's better
Thank
than
you very
plasma.
much.
but they're similar technologies in that OLED is an emissive display. Each pixel is the light source.
Yes.
Kind of in the same way that
backlit.
it's not, yeah, LED backlighting behind an LCD panel. And then Samsung for a long time was calling their QLED, which was simply quantum dot layer sandwiched between the LCD panel and the LED backlighting system. And then Sony did really sophisticated things with, you know, very precise local dimming behind the screen. And then, of course, we have micro LED, which is primarily, or best used anyway, for very precise local dimming backlighting technologies. Not really as useful for a high performance display yet, but anyway.
I'm just sad that George Takei's yellow pixel never took off.
Yeah. So the ROG Swift lineup, it's all OLED, 32-inch, 34-inch, and 49-inch. This Swift OLED PG32 UCDM is not curved. I think that's the one that's the ultra high. Yeah, it's a 240 hertz refresh. Kind of don't want to know pricing on these. I don't see pricing on all of them. One of them here,
probably be starting at about $1,000.
That's not too bad. This okay, a 49-inch.
Oh, there you go, 15.
Curved. What's the? This was the
0.03 millisecond gray to gray.
PG49 WCD. It's a curved QD OLED.
And
144 hertz.
Europe, because it's excluding
wow.
$14.99. Oh, it says a dollar sign though.
It says
Why would they
dollar
talk
sign.
Yeah,
about
it's
VAT?
excluding VAT, though.
We don't have to worry about VAT.
Yeah, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, there you go
that
for-
34
yeah, okay.
looks extremely interesting to me.
Indeed.
I've had my Alienware 34-inch ultra wide for 5 years now. It's getting a little long in the tooth. I'll keep it.
All right, let's move on to my favorite story of the week. Over at Tom's Hardware, there's a story about the Ryzen 9 7945HX3D, which we just talked about, but in a mini PC. The fastest notebook CPU for gaming in a tiny little mini ITX looking case. But look at this. If you're watching the video, and I'm sorry if you can't see this, there is what looks like a 4080 or 4090 Founders Edition card.
What in the humpback whale is going on here?
Because the case is obviously too small for this board and a 3 to 4 slot GPU. So what do you do?
Understatement.
You simply put a slot in the top so that you can slot in your graphics card, which just sits on top of the case out in the open.
No, it's securely bolted in. So you can
it's got a little adapter to bolt into it.
And just wander around with it.
I think it's just being held in by tension.
Too many things.
So essentially, cat owners should not apply.
No.
They're conveniently omitting the elephant in the room, which will be the cable coming off the top, the snake of what would it be? The Hydra? The Hydra coming off the top. Using the adapter. So this is from Minisforum. It calls its forthcoming system Project DRFXI to emphasize its Dragon Range nature. I guess that's DR is Dragon Range. What's FXI?
I can only come up with rude acronyms,
so can I.
Can't imagine how you abbreviate swinging in the breeze, but sure.
Project XFI, or FXI. It's fuck it, just put it on the outside.
Pretty much. Well, external.
YouTube chat says freaking external.
Yeah, freaking external.
Yeah, freaking external interface.
Project F it.
Project WTF.
I love the idea of putting that mobile Ryzen 9 in.
I love how there's just a little tiny slot sticking out of the top.
It's great. Is that a C? Oh, you brought back an optical drive? No, I'm sorry. That's for your PCI Express card.
Is that wood?
It looks like wood. It looks like wood. I think it's just a render.
It's used for its thermal characteristics.
Oh, look at that.
It's sandalwood.
It looks beautiful.
Freaking sandalwood, man.
Look how small it is.
It looks like a render. I'm going with Sebastian on this.
Kind of looks like a render. There's
definitely a render.
A PS5 controller right here, which is probably half the size of the unit.
It's very outsized. Also, there's no components in that box.
There's just a little compute unit back here.
Oh, right.
There's a lot of breeze through.
Don't worry about the power supply. We don't need to talk about the power supply. It's probably external. It's just a laptop in a box with no monitor.
Oh god, they've got an external PCI Express power connector that plugs into mains.
Okay. This has been done before.
True.
Okay. Well, it's a unique design that may never make it to market, sadly. But I sincerely hope that it does.
Why bother making such a visually appealing box and then stick a graphics card on top of it?
If you have a 4090, wouldn't you want to show it off?
Why?
Let me go to our correspondent, Kent. Kent, do you believe in showing off graphics cards as art, like wall art?
Oh, does he ever?
See?
No, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Kent's a wall
so
of
you can
GPUs
have a working
behind
system sitting on that shelf with the 4090 plugged into it.
My
some of
gaming
those
needs
are air coolers
mean
only.
Nothing to Kent and his sense of aesthetics.
In fairness, some of them are just shells because he put them underwater.
Yes,
exactly that.
Let's pause for a word from this week's podcast sponsor.
You ever wonder where those systems that seem to know way too much about you get their information? Data brokers are pulling that intel and knowledge about you from public sources and all kinds of social media systems that you interact with. Then they're aggregating it and selling it out to other agencies. You and your information are now the product. This includes your relationships, relatives, or other connections, your job history, birthdays, past and current physical mailing addresses, or even phone numbers. It's all out there. It's a difficult task to gain some control over this personal info. The DeleteMe service is set up to help you with just that. On the lighter side of the web anyway. DeleteMe had given me their system a run through to see how it worked. After gathering my personal information to seed their inquiries, DeleteMe contacted over 40 separate data brokers to locate my records and then make removal requests on my behalf. In order to operate, those data brokers need to provide that mechanism, but they don't always make it easy to do. DeleteMe works on your behalf, saving hours of finding the forms and properly composing the requests to get you removed from those data broker systems, obviously freeing up time and energy to do way better things. I had a few questions after my first report was generated and contacted DeleteMe. I appreciated the fast responses to my requests for further investigation on removing my personal data with several brokers they were researching. Decide that data privacy is also important to you and take steps to clearing out your personal data using DeleteMe. Now get 20% off your DeleteMe plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/PCP and use promo code PCP20. The way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/PCP and use promo code PCP20 at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/PCP, promo code PCP20.
And our next story, a blast from the past, as we're looking at an image from one of those Mac versus PC commercials with Justin Long and that other guy whose name I forgot, even though
the other guy.
He even wrote a book that was pretty decent. He wrote a sequel to it too.
I cannot remember his name, but he's a tremendously funny guy.
Yeah, a tremendously funny nobody that has no name recognition whatsoever. John Hodgman, I think is his name.
Yes,
John Hodgman. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Anyway, the status of Windows 11 22H2 OOBE, overly obnoxious exploded experience. That's pretty good.
I don't think that's what they meant, but
you don't think
Jeremy
so?
did.
Oh, it is.
Jeremy thought that's what they meant.
It's unclean. My system is unclean. Well, my system is unclean the moment I install Windows 11. So
well, that's the problem. Remember back in the day, you'd get that laptop or the desktop from Gateway or Dell or wherever it was that you bought it from, and it's like, wow, there's so much crapware in here. I'm just going to do the system restore and do the clean reset so that I'm just back to what it is. It's just basically working. Going to load all the drivers and everything, but it's fine. Yeah, that is no longer the case. And I've been screaming and yelling about this because of the Intune migration, where the out-of-box experience is a very big problem, or benefit. And so the best thing about this is that everything I'm about to say is true for both home versions and enterprise versions. And that's what really, grinds my gears is that this is what the enterprise user experiences. So immediately, unless you disable all your network connections or are able to run some PowerShell scripts to tell it to go, intercourse itself, you have to have a Microsoft account sign in. That's just there. Like if you rip out all the network cables and you make sure your Wi-Fi doesn't work, it will, after several nag screens, allow you to continue to the data collection and telemetry screen, where you can then choose whether you get targeted ads or non-targeted ads. Then it wants you to customize your experience so that you can, personalize every single thing about it, like as if it was a cell phone, which you can sort of skip, except as soon as you do that, it asks you to pair with your phone. There's then several trial offers. And if you skip those trial offers, don't worry. After about 5 days, Windows will remind you that, hey, you skipped some of the amazing stuff during our out-of-box experience, and why don't you try it again? And this time, you might want to say yes to Microsoft 359 and OneDrive and Game Pass. And then, you've made it through this. And you hit your start menu, and why is Disney Plus there? Do I really need Netflix? Oh, look. It's suggesting that maybe I'd be better off if I signed into my Facebook account. And again, to remind you, this is the same experience on an enterprise box behind a corporate firewall. It just does it. You get the personal version of OneDrive and Teams, whether you like it or not, or whether that will interfere with, the fact that those are not compatible with the business or school side of OneDrive or Teams. And it goes on. Ours really did just sit down and write down every single step that you go through on what used to be hey, there's too much crap on my system. I just want a clean install. Yeah, well, the clean install is now unclean. Very unclean. But don't worry, Windows 12 will fix it all.
Literally.
Microsoft. Another exciting Microsoft story. Secure time seeding is quite the feature, writes Jeremy Hellstrom. Why?
Well, the best part about it is nobody bloody well knows about it. But it has been what has been driving people nuts intermittently, apparently. It's supposedly a backup for the real-time clock on your computer, right? So if, for whatever reason, your CMOS battery goes and your machine no longer knows what time it is or what date it is, well, this can be a huge problem because all of a sudden your digital certs are failing, scheduled jobs are going at the wrong time or just not going. If you're trying to maintain any sort of auditing trail, you know, it's really going to mess stuff up. Well, apparently if this happens, as opposed to the machine just sort of failing and obviously being a problem, the secure time seeding feature checks what your local system time is against a value found in an SSL certificate that nobody knows they should actually fill out, and so they just throw random frickin' numbers in there if it's made mandatory, which often isn't. So, you know, it makes sense. Okay, my server has lost the time. It's going to go out and chat with people and say, hey, what is my time? And that does lead to some security issues. And it could go out to the time server, but the time server is going, yeah, I don't want to talk to you because there's something seriously wrong with you. So it goes to an SSL cert, which, in theory, if you knew about this feature, you would put, you know, a link to a value to be able to go out to, you know, one of the internet time providers. But because no one has any clue what it is, they just throw in a random value, which then becomes your system time. And then the machine just sort of carries on as if everything is happy. Now, of course, eventually it will talk to a time provider and catch itself up. Hence the wonderful intermittent problem where all of a sudden everything goes to hell and then it sort of fixes itself. So it's just this horrible miscommunication about there's this one field in an SSL cert that is actually really important, but nobody told you it was. And to be honest, and having dealt with SSL certs, I don't even know where that field is in one. Thankfully, I don't have to renew anything for a while, so I don't have to go looking. But when I do, I think I'm actually going to, because this is insane. Why would you bury the time clock in an SSL cert? Unless you were verifying that the time was correct on the machine to make sure they weren't trying to get around something, like an old vulnerability that they just figured out. So yeah, this is nuts. And it's been going since 2016. And literally, I don't know. Josh, have you ever run into this? Did you know this was a thing?
No.
Yeah. I have no clue that this is a thing.
Why would they ever take authoritative data from something that they could clearly see was basically randomized numbers from so many providers? It's like, oh, this must be what time it is on Mars 50 years into the future, you know?
Well, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care?
It's existential.
Yeah, all right, this is just frustrating, and yeah.
Speaking of frustrating,
I feel like this is already Security Corner. That wasn't in the show notes of Security Corner, but it was. So Security Corner continues. It was Security Corner adjacent. TP-Link, is this pronounced Tapo, L530E, the not very smart bulb.
So yeah, we have complained about smart bulbs quite a lot in the past because they always seem to be a really bad idea. And well, this one, which apparently has sold in the millions, it's I think they mentioned about the third most popular on Amazon, is the easiest way to get your Wi-Fi SID and password going. There are 4 major failures in this thing that researchers have figured out, and sort of from least to most. They put a hard-coded short checksum, which is shared in the app, so you can quite easily reverse engineer that because it being hard-coded is not going to change much. And you'd say, well, it's going to take you a while, except the cryptographics that they used for this hard-coded short checksum are predictable enough that you can sort of, if you have a chance to monitor this bulb over time, be able to predict what the next keys will be. Which you would say, well, I mean, obviously it's not going to keep sessions open for long enough for you to be able to do that. Well, no. Session keys are valid for 24 hours, and you can replay the messages that were sent or received to it in that time period. It's quite happy to tell you because it assumes that, well, those keys have already been used, so they're not valid, except they still are. And the best part about it is that you can impersonate the bulb during a session key exchange with the app. Now, of course, you've got to turn the bulb back into setup to be able to do it. Well, yeah, no, there's a very quick DDoS thing where you can set that bulb back into the setup mode so it then has to re-authenticate against the Wi-Fi connection that it's connecting to. Sorry for the redundancy there. And that, because of all of the vulnerabilities, allows you to retrieve the SID of the Wi-Fi network and the password, because the cryptography is predictable. And you've monitored it for the last 24 hours.
My read of this is actually not the bulb per se, it's the system and the application.
It's mostly the app, yeah.
The app. So what you're doing is a software element is coming into your network space, pretending to be one of these light bulbs. Your application on your phone, on your iPad, or whatever you've got going, responds to the "I'm a light bulb" thing and says, "I need setup information." That application happily provides, "Oh, here's all the Wi-Fi information you need to jump onto our network." Boom. You've just provided everything that the hacker needs to get onto your Wi-Fi. Maybe at best, they'll just steal your bandwidth.
Yes, that's sort of what I said. But no, they're in the house now. And yeah. And this is just because you wanted light bulbs that would change color and turn on and off at certain times.
Pretty colors.
I don't want those things. I want my kids to just turn off the lights. Is that so hard to ask for?
Why
turn
not
off
just
the
be able
TV
to push
if
a
you're
button?
not watching it?
Push a button on your phone and go, all lights off in the house. I think that seems useful.
Yep.
Did we need more lighting innovation after the clapper? I mean,
I don't think so.
That was the pinnacle.
Wait.
Good point.
The pinnacle of human achievement.
It's in
Josh has got the clap.
New in
Josh has got the
box.
clap in his box.
He's got a clapper. New in box. I'm so jealous.
It was bought for me.
Rare. Hard to find. All right. Let's chew up the next story. In our next security story, Akira ransomware targets Cisco VPNs to breach organizations. What else would they be doing?
God.
Basically, Jeremy, my read of this, and please, chime in with the backstory.
No, honestly, we abandoned Cisco a while back, and I was really glad that we did, and now I'm even more happy.
Apparently, if you only have a single non-multi-factor authorization inside a Cisco VPN, you're susceptible to this remote execution hack, and you're finished. Basically, you're done for.
Our next story, staying with bleeping computer here, WinRAR flaw lets hackers run programs when you open the RAR archives. Is this the patch? I'm sure
this is also bad if you haven't paid for WinRAR.
I was going to say, if you have the free version of WinRAR, you're going to get a security patch.
Yeah, you're going to need the new free version, which just came out.
Okay.
Yes, for God's sakes. Also, WinRAR update.
Yeah.
Is 7-zip susceptible to this?
Good question. Not according to this article. There was no mention of 7-zip. It's shipping testing native support Windows 11 for RAR, 7-zip, and GZ files. Third-party server will no longer be required. This version lists advanced features are needed. Yeah, I don't really know about that. Anyway, the point
Microsoft is fighting 7-zip. I'll tell you that. It doesn't like me deploying it, but
this is one of those update your WinRAR software if you haven't recently, more of like a public service announcement on our part. So you're going to get hacked. Otherwise, somebody's going to deliver a payload sooner or later to you.
No, the lovely quote is, as a target needs to trick a victim into opening an archive.
That's not a trick.
Here's a WinRAR file. Please
Here's
open.
a WinRAR file.
Or here's a gzip file. Oh, I don't know how to open it. Well, download WinRAR and use that to open it. It's only a 7.8, but honestly, no, I think that deserves to be significantly higher. Because literally, if you use WinRAR and you haven't updated, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, update your WinRAR to 7-zip today. Let's move on to gaming.
It's multi-threaded.
Quick hits.
Yes.
It's the end of the road for the Xbox 360 game marketplace. It's shutting down. You'll still be able to get your previously purchased digital games for now, but it's shutting down. So, load up your Xbox 360 and with all those digital games, although I feel like most people on Xbox already have an Xbox One at this point, at the very least.
I'm not feeling the 10-year promise on this one.
No?
No, I'm not feeling it.
Okay.
I mean, from this point on, no.
Now, this reminds me of when they mentioned it here in the article. Sony announced similar plans for the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita, but canceled them after the backlash. Mostly probably the influencer backlash. But the PSP store is closed forever. But I can still re-download all my stuff on my Vita to this very day, which is, that's the 10-year plan right there.
Well, I guess you can't download Wii U stuff anymore either, so, okay. Fine.
The shocking twist. The game industry is basically just like the film industry. Movies. They're all remakes. They're all remakes and sequels. Believe it or not, everything's been done before. And Gamescom is all about remakes this year, including Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster.
Star Dark Forces Remaster Wars.
It's a 1996 game. That's
yes, it is.
1996.
And it's like you've never seen it before.
Years ago.
Yep.
4K, 120 FPS, Josh.
And everything looks a lot smoother.
You should be able to do 4K 120 on integrated graphics from a 1996 game like that. Come on. CPU only, no GPU acceleration.
Hey, you've got a new CPU benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kex
they smoothed it out, so it's not pixelated anymore. But other than that, it's pretty much the same game.
Okay.
It's the Kex engine, which you will recall from the Quake 2 remake, and the System Shock Enhanced. But there were a couple of others, old ones that they brought back. That hey, if you're into retro gaming, but you would like it to look a little bit better, Nate Dive Studios.
It's a subjective term. Better, different.
Oh, it's certainly different.
It looks like smeary. If you can't stand sharp pixels, you'll love AI upscaled, smeary oil painting pixels.
Yes.
Look at how nice this looks.
This looks good, but this is pre-alpha footage.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll get even better.
Yes. I mean, the young people here are like, why in the hell do you even care about this game? This was during the era where we invented the Y-axis. This was one of the first where you actually could aim up and down, as opposed to just being on a flat plane. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And if you check out Gamescom, there's a couple of other ones that they've sort of remastered to be able to run at high frame rates, a nice crisp 4K that's, as you say, a bit of a smeared oil painting, but it's kind of fun.
Hey, in the same vein as everything old is new again, the community's actually remaking Half-Life 2 with RTX, by the way.
True.
Hey,
so we don't know if it's going to support DLSS 3.5, though.
That doesn't matter. Everything is going to be, all the environmental stuff will be re-examinable, and it'll be fun. If you like that sort of thing.
Speaking of the community and hacking things, VBIOS modding is back. NVIDIA's signature lock has been broken. There are new tools to reopen the possibility of VBIOS cross-flashing, voltage modding, and more, writes Mark Tyson at Tom's Hardware.
There's 2 new utilities, NV Flash K and OMG VFlash, which should get everybody back into the NVIDIA flashing game. Didn't buy the OC card? roll the dice and flash your card.
Better yet, unlock some shaders, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
never goes
just that's
bad.
silicon.
Well, you don't
That's
even
just
need
silicon.
to solder some caps.
But importantly in this story, now that this has happened, remember never to buy any NVIDIA cards off AliExpress or Wish or possibly eBay,
Yeah,
because you
maybe
know
so.
that 3080 Ti you ordered might just turn out to be a 2050.
But
2050.
GPU-Z says it's a new one.
I think what you're talking about is hyperbole.
Is there a 2050?
No,
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 I never was.
There is.
no,
That was
there
called
a
the
1650.
1660. And then they had the 1660
Anyway.
Ti and the 1660 Super and the 1650
Yeah.
and the 1650 Super, and it was out of control.
Now, they say there's ways to bring back cards that have been bricked as well, but we know that that's sort of iffy, all the same.
It always has been, as is tradition.
And sometimes you can get away with the extra shader flash or the OC flash, but buyer beware, so to speak, or user, it's all on you. Might work.
Well, I did turn my 6950 into a 6970, but it also only lasted about a year.
There might be the rub.
Yeah.
The cooling solution, or however it's been set up with power delivery, isn't up to the new BIOS.
Also might have been a reason that they cut that PERD off the chip.
Yeah. It was not good silicon.
The,
part.
No.
the way the industry has gone, everything overclocks itself within a thermal limit or a power limit, but it's all about underclocking now. Undervolting.
Undervolting.
Not underclocking. Undervolting.
Yeah.
And you get better results. Like undervolt your Ryzen 9 and see how high it'll clock. It's amazing.
Let the auto clocking mechanism take advantage of the less heat output, because it will.
Mm-hmm.
Though, they are absolutely designed to run at 95C.
Yes.
Oh,
That's not
everybody
a worry
says
at all.
that.
100%.
No,
Deliting
there's no problem
them,
at all.
it's just
It
a
doesn't-
coincidence that increases performance.
That doesn't shorten the lifespan of anything.
Deliting?
No, running them at
No,
95
95 degrees.
Oh, well, yeah, but then, you're beyond AM6. There are shadows of change coming to Total War Warhammer 3, writes Jeremy Hellstrom.
True.
Is this a Scorpion song for the 2020s?
It's close. But they got the lyrics wrong.
Oh,
It's they're playing air guitar and they just don't really know the lyrics, but they're making them up. No, it's a new DLC.
Klaus Meine's getting up there in years, so he probably forgot the lyrics.
Yeah, it happens.
I think
Although there's gonna be
it
a
was
appeal for that
actually
soon.
air headbanging to Winds of Change as I said that. So,
Are we doing
Good eye,
Scorpions? I was just trying to follow under here.
yeah.
Josh is.
Okay, cool. All right.
No, it's yet another DLC for Warhammer 3, where they're sort of giving you new remixes of some existing races. And they're dumping you in interesting places. Like, you wouldn't expect to find Kislev in the middle of the jungles of the New World, because they should be hanging out in the snow with their bears. But Mother Ostanka is... she's out shopping for new ingredients for curses and blessings. There's a new cinch hero that is literally invisible unless you're raiding or doing anything, that spawns in the middle of the Empire to make things really, really interesting if you want to play there. And there's a new and can literally turn into any hero from any other race once you've played long enough and done certain quests. So you're in the middle of a battle and the spells aren't doing so well, but what would be really handy is a giant ogre that can eat people and has a mass rating off the scale. Well, you can just sort of change into him and have the same benefits of them as the same level you are. So you lose your spells, but you gain the ability to stomp people into paste. And because, Cathay needs some little help, they've added a new character for Cathay who has different control over the Celestial Compass, which is one of the key mechanics to play that sort of race. So they keep expanding this game. Creative Assembly does a decent job on DLCs. I'm not going to say this is one of my favorite ones, but it was fun. It'll be out next week. And the problem is that the price has gone up. And if you look in the review, there is a link to their statement about it, which is basically saying, look, everything's more expensive now. We don't want to increase the price on this. And don't pre-order, but as a, little gift, we're going to give you 10% off if you pre-order. Don't pre-order anything, ever. Friends, don't let friends pre-order. It's they tossed me the key. I wanted to take a look at it because it's one of my favorite games. I love the Total War series and I love Warhammer. So you put the two of them together and you make it so that I've now bought 3 games, but they're just one gigantic game now. It's fairly impressive. That's the kind of DLC I like to see. When you're, oh no, it's this DLC you have to pay an arm and a leg for, and you get a new gun, 3 new hats, and a jockstrap. Yeah, I'm not into it. These guys do a decent job on it. So if you like the Warhammers, you like the Total Wars, it's worth a shot. I liked it.
Let's move on to picks of the week. Josh, please get us started.
Okay. So a friend of mine just bought this LG 48GQ900-B 48-inch Ultra Gear UHD OLED gaming monitor with anti-glare. HDR10, DCI P3 99%, 120 hertz refresh rate, HDMI 2.1. There you go. For under $900. That's
48.
That's a lot of gaming monitor.
48 inches.
Yeah, 4K.
I can't imagine sitting like 3 feet away from this and trying to game on it.
That's around 4 feet or so, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get what? You get what?
Sunburn.
Oh,
Sunburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's that's a super low price on something. A 48-inch OLED TV, but it's actually kind of pushing towards monitor. Yeah, that's nuts. It's I'd like one, but I can't have one because I have debt.
We all do. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Throw it on some plastic. This is America.
I had
Jeremy.
other people using my debt last week.
Yeah, exactly. Just steal someone else's. Jeremy, your pick.
So I didn't realize this is not well known, but from the reaction on Twitter lately, this is apparently something that a lot of people don't know. So this is a pick. If you bring up Task Manager and you sort it by memory usage or CPU usage, or trying to figure out what is the app or service that's driving you insane, if you hold down the control key, it pauses Task Manager. It doesn't keep jumping around. It will hold all of the apps or services you're looking at the time where they are, so you can actually monitor them. I've been doing this for forever, but apparently this is not something that's particularly well known. So I thought that I would mention it just in case anyone didn't know this as well. So yeah, you just bring up your Task Manager, sort it by whatever you're looking for, hold down Control when you've found the service or app that you're looking for, and it will stay there, but the values keep updating. It just doesn't bounce around up and down the list.
It stops sorting, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it stops sorting. It'll give you a live update, but it stops sorting it live.
Let's go to this laptop's Task Manager live right now on the air.
Nice.
If I hold down Control,
well, sort of by something first.
It's as if it froze.
Really wasn't moving.
It wasn't really moving that much. But look, see how these percentages...
See Chrome? Chrome, you can see, is bouncing around, but it's not jumping up and down
Yeah, I've definitely had that where I'm trying to chase down a process to close it and it moves around on me.
You don't like the jumping up and down like in Super Troopers? Stop jumping on the bed.
Jump up.
Jump up, jump up.
Anyway, who wants
Brett.
a must?
I had a different song in my head. Sorry.
It's a must-have control. I know it works as far back as XP, so if you're still on XP, you can still do it.
You
Control.
can still do it. Yeah. No, I thought everyone knew this, but it's one of those things that you assume everyone knows.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah. There you go. Communication is key.
New tool in the arsenal. So,
Did you
Brett,
just find me a new tool?
yes, I did. Fresh new tool.
Okay.
My pick this week was inspired by the monitor talk that Sebastian had started to put in the other news portions of all the great new OLED monitors that were coming out and fantastic refresh rates and great coloring. And I went in a totally opposite direction. I was just inspired by the talk of monitors. And I found some really, really inexpensive gaming monitors because not everybody is on a big, huge budget like Sebastian is. Some people Some people actually don't have that amount of money to spend and need to watch where they're spending their money. But why not still get a good gaming monitor at 1080p or even a curved gaming monitor for not a lot of money? So I found these by a company called Koorui.
Koorui? Is that how you pronounce it? Koorui.
I went with Koorui on this.
Koorui?
But this is yeah, I went with that. So there's a 24-inch VA, a 24-inch IPS, and a 2K 27-inch curved monitor, and they range in prices from a low of about $106 to $170. Now, I admit
you can get them at Walmart's.
Isn't going to be outstanding, but it's going to get you in the game at 144 to 165 hertz refresh, either 24-inch IPS or 24-inch VA panel. Very, very modestly priced, $116 to $106. If you're on a budget, you're trying to build that elusive, very elusive nowadays budget PC, and every dollar you need has got to go into your GPU. You still need a way to display it, and you want to be able to push frames. So 120 hertz probably isn't going to feed your gaming appetite anymore. You want to be at least 144 or even maybe 165. This is going to get you there for not a lot of dollars.
I think we're just at the very beginning of the commodity 2560 by 1440 panels getting just cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
That is a 2560 by 1440 27 curved on that.
Have you looked recently at just TVs in general? TVs are back to where they were when CRTs were on their way out, where you could go to the store and buy a TV for $69. And now they've got cheap LCD TVs for around that. A lot of stuff under $100. It makes sense that we're seeing some computer monitors selling for well under $200 with a decent resolution too. These are obviously higher resolution than.
Yep, there's an IPS panel in there for $116 that'll run either 144 or 165 hertz, which is not bad with a 1ms.
The smaller one, the 24-inch, that is just HD, right? Yeah, it's full HD.
Yep,
okay.
1080, 165.
Okay.
Yeah. For $106.
Awesome.
All right.
And those all probably use the panels that many of the name brands that are much more expensive use.
It's possible these are seconds.
Probably.
They need to get rid of these panels. And 4K is the new hotness, obviously. So, I mean, it's been around for years. You know what I'm saying?
I thought 16K was the new hotness.
Well, I'm saying, like, in the gaming monitor space, that's where the biggest growth is going to be. Because, biggest growth has been adoption of 1440 from 1080. And I'm sure the next generation is all the adoption of 4K as a computer monitor finally. Or the new ultra wide 4K. What is the one that's 4K tall but ultra wide? It's like 5K. It's like 5K wide but 1440 tall. It's like 5120 by 1440.
I just saw one of those a little while ago. But anyway, the point here is that you want to bootstrap the next generation into the $600 to $700 gaming PC, or as little as possible. You got to give them an avenue to do it. So
yep.
All right, let's move to my pick of the week. My pick of the week is this Neewer tabletop camera mount stand with a flexible arm. Now, if you want to do some overhead style camera work on the desk in front of you, you need some kind of a boom. Here we have a lady doing that right here. And this thing accommodates either a light or a camera on top. Ooh. And then anything else. I mean, it's just standard, threaded mounts, so you can put whatever you want on these things. But the arm, surprisingly strong. I bought one of these things because I'm going to start doing some, quick desktop, reviews. Like throw something on the desk, have 2 cameras recording, get 2 different angles, edit it together somehow. This is exactly why I wanted it. And it's $44 before a 10% coupon on Amazon. So it ended up being, $39 something before tax. So it does seem to be pretty well made. It's not ultra fancy. You're not going to get like quick release clamps and stuff. There's a lot of threading involved here, but it's lightweight aluminum tubes. There's no counterweight on the adjustable arm. I was a little worried about that, but the clamp mechanism seems pretty strong. So we'll see. We're talking about
what percentage do you go to? Do you start at like 3.5 and go up to 8 3/4? The adjustable arm.
I'm using it right now.
I'm trying to fit an IPO joke in here, but I can't quite do it.
I can't reach it. The arm. I'm not using the arm right now. Right now in front of me is the camera on this rod. It's a monopod, but it's a desk clamp. It's like a microphone boom, like this thing, but it's for your camera, and it's convenient. Except it doesn't move around like this. I could actually put a camera on this. I bet. I wonder how that would work. Good. These Sony cameras are like 2 pounds.
You should start broadcasting from a different place in your house, like every week.
Yeah, I used to do This Week in Computer Hardware from the living room right here sometimes, and then also the bedroom. I was going to use the bedroom, and then I'm like, no, the router's out here, and I just want a wired connection. I brought up this huge honking full tower streaming PC, and then earlier today I was doing some video capture because I was finishing up a review on the Frag box. And it was just pathetic because I set this little frag box on top.
I saw the picture.
This is more powerful than the streaming PC by a pretty wide margin. And I'm lugging this huge full tower up my basement stairs. It's like this is the perfect use case for the frag box. Bring it back just for streaming rigs, because that's another great thing about it being a micro ATX. This is what my review is going to be all about. Okay, Kent, your pick.
Yeah, so I know that longtime friend of the show, Alan Malventano, has been sitting in his big office at Solidigm, and he's been upset that Solidigm's not been a pick of the week for at least 3 weeks now. And so I'm sure he's gotten on all the guys in accounting and told them, we need to be pick of the week again. And so Solidigm is now selling their P44 Pro 2 terabyte model for $109.95.
Well, they were.
You're kidding.
Oh, it's not $109.95 anymore.
It's gone. Mm-hmm. Maybe Newegg has it.
Damn it, Alan. You've let me down.
No, the marketing did their job. They sold them all. Let's see. Yeah. Solidigm.
Got you to advertise it, Kent.
Terabyte.
Yes.
Look at that. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, $109.
$109.99. Save $60.
Yeah, I could say $24 off with a combo purchase. Limited offer.
What's the combo? Can I buy 3 of them? Look, I can buy 3 of them.
Combo.
For just $305.97. That's a savings of $1.
$109 for a 2 terabyte PCIe
$1.75 per almost $103. $102. Sorry.
You owe it to your family to buy this 3-pack because share the wealth of this 2 terabyte. And the Solidigm P44 Pro, that's based on the same hardware platform as that P41 Platinum SK Hynix drive. With tweaked firmware, plus they have that cool software.
Do you get to run the cool software, the special driver with this one? That's
really they have their own driver.
Aspect of this. Yes, yeah.
I liked it when every thing had its own custom driver. Forget about this generic Windows nonsense. I want the complexity of the third-party driver installation.
Managing your own drivers again.
Yeah. And then saying like, yeah, I get 4% better performance because I run the custom driver. Oh, you run store NVMe? Oh, okay. Hey, who came up with the name of Solidigm, says Benito. I think it's Solid State Paradigm. They mixed it together. The new Solid State Paradigm.
We should ask Alan. He might know.
The correct answer to that question is Alan. Alan
didn't make the name. I'm sure it was...
Don't destroy my illusions.
Okay.
Oh, the throwback to Grabthar's hammer. Nicely done.
Oh.
What a savings.
All right, we're officially in outro mode now. And I want to thank each and every one of you for listening, watching.
And you.
And you couldn't do it without all of you.
10 of 10.
Well, we could, but we wouldn't want to. I don't want to sit here in my living room and just talk at the camera and know that no one's listening, because that would be sad.
It would be sad.
But I could do other things. Like if I knew nobody was watching, I could just, lay down and rest, or go through my physical media collection and find a movie to watch. Things like that. All the things I'd rather be doing than podcasting right now. So please,
everybody needs a retro hobby.